So, is it Goetta? Is it Goetta? Is it Goetta? I don't know, but you know what? I've got a rabbit from Kentucky that's going to help me out. What am I talking about? Stick with me. Hey everyone, welcome to YesterKitchen. I'm Jill, and if you love retro and nostalgia and food, you have come to the right place. So Goetta, it is Goetta by the way, right?
It is Goetta,
okay,
yeah.
Good. So I want you to meet Jessica Rothert. That's my friend, or Rabbit, her nickname, which is my rabbit, who's from Kentucky.
I am.
So there you go. And today is part 4 of my Almost Famous Friends series. I can't say that. Almost Famous Friends series.
It's like a tongue twister.
It is a tongue twister.
Yeah.
And we're wrapping it up today, and Rabbit has decided to come join me. And I always ask my guests what they want to make because it's from their hometown. So, what are we making today?
Today we are making Goetta, which is a breakfast sausage patty that is local to the Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky area.
And why did you pick Goetta? Because there's so many things from Kentucky.
There are a lot of things from Kentucky. So what's neat about Goetta is that it's really specific to the area that I'm from. I grew up in Covington, Kentucky, which is just across the road from Cincinnati. So in the early 1830s, Cincinnati was the largest pork manufacturer in the country.
Oh, really?
So we have the nickname Porkopolis. So we have an abundance of pork, and then 20 years later, by the 1850s, the region is 60% German-born immigrants. So we had all these Germans come over, and they brought lots of wonderful German things. We got a lot of beer gardens and a lot of beer halls in Cincinnati. There's an area of Cincinnati called Over the Rhine. But what they also bought is this old German breakfast meat. Now in Germany, they would refer to it as something called Goetta, which is Goetta. You gotta get that German. And it was a means to stretch your meat really far.
Okay.
So we make it with Pinhead oats. It stretches your pork a lot further. And it's just a really tasty breakfast meat. There's a lot of really good German spices in it, but it took off. It became super popular. In 1946, Robert Gleer, whose family were butchers.
Does this girl know her history or what?
He came back from the war and wanted to expand upon this wonderful Goetta treat that the Germans had brought over. So they actually bought a factory in Covington, Kentucky, my hometown, and that was the first factory that started making Goetta. Now personally, I buy it from Finke's, which is my hometown butcher in Fort Wright, Kentucky. A little plug for Finke's. But it's exploded so much that now, starting in 2001, we started having Goetta Fest in Covington, Kentucky, and in Newport, Kentucky. So now there's a whole festival that's just devoted to Goetta.
As there should be.
As there should be. It's delicious.
So, Rabbit, Jessica, like I said, all my friends are in the industry. She's an actress. She's a dancer. She's a singer. She plays a mean ukulele. And let's just take a couple pictures because I always show pictures of my friends. So here she is doing her thing, and I just love her for it. And like, I've known her for a while. How long?
Yeah.
Like 10 or
2011. So
oh wow,
8 years.
Oh wow,
8 years.
Yeah,
Almost coming up on a decade.
Very good. Very lucky, as you can see. All right, so we're gonna start making Goetta because it's a long process. As a matter of
it's
fact,
worth it.
It's an overnight process.
Yes.
So it's actually about 10 p.m. here.
Yeah.
And we decided to do a slumber party.
Yay! So we raised the band.
Right. So we're gonna make it. We're gonna put it in the fridge. We're gonna wake up in the morning and have Goetta.
Yeah, because if you don't refrigerate it overnight, you get like soggy, mushy Goetta, which is not good.
I'm gonna take a word for it because I've never had it. All right. So then let's get started.
Perfect.
So we've got ourselves a big Dutch oven.
Voila. So we want to start with oats, broth, and water. Some Goetta recipes call for lots of water. I think breaking it up with either some beef stock or some chicken stock really helps amp up the flavor. But these are the real stars.
Right under there.
Our Pinhead oats.
Oh, and by the way, this recipe, as all my recipes, are on my website, YesterKitchen.com.
So the Pinhead oats, you really want to get the Pinhead oats instead of like rolling oats or steel cut oats because they help kind of hold everything together really nicely and don't make it too mushy. And then we also need 2.5 cups of water.
4 cups
of water.
Oh, 4 cups water and 4 cups of beef broth.
Perfect.
So that whole thing is 4 cups.
Perfect.
Oh, I should probably get you a. You know what? I have it.
Ooh, steam out here. Hello.
Is that too? Yeah, let me get you. I'm gonna let her take over, and I'm gonna get a pot holder.
Uh-oh, I'm in charge.
Look out!
Hi, YesterKitchen fans.
Here you go. Pot holders.
Perfect.
Don't burn yourself.
Yeah, that beef broth will really give it some nice flavor.
Okay.
Wonderful. And then we have our 4 cups of water.
Yep. I love this. I'm learning so much in this series. Things I've just never made.
Well, I mean, like we talked about doing like Kentucky hot browns. You know, there's so many fun Kentucky recipes, but this has such a rich history with my hometown. It kind of made sense. So then we also need salt. We have 3 teaspoons of salt.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Now the recipe specifies sea salt. I don't know how important that is, but that is sea salt.
Yeah, you can kind of use whatever. I like sea salt.
Okay. And then we need 3 bay leaves.
Bay leaves,
which we've got right there.
Beautiful. There's our bay leaves. You know how I feel when you leave, Jill? I always hate it when bay leaves.
Aww. Ba-da-ba.
And then marjoram.
Right, 1.5 teaspoons.
1.5 teaspoons of marjoram.
This is it.
So
some
a lot
people
of
say marjoram, some people say marjoram. It's the same.
You say marjoram, I say marjoram. These are all very German spices too that we're going to be adding into this.
And that's it.
And that's it for now. So then you're going to stir all that up, and this is going to simmer or bring it to a boil, and then we will reduce the heat to low, cover it, and gently simmer it for 90 minutes.
So what we'll do is we're going to take a little break because we don't want you to have to sit here and wait for the pot to boil. Because what a watch pot never boils. And we will be back when it's boiling, and we'll give you the next step. Ready?
Ready.
I'll step. Okay, and we're back, and as you can see, our pot is boiling.
Yay!
And now it's pretty easy, right?
It is pretty easy. So now we're going to turn it down to simmer, and it's going to simmer with the lid on for about 90 minutes.
You want your oats to just really absorb all the liquid. That's what's happening right now.
And as you're watching this, if you're from Pennsylvania, you might kind of recognize this recipe a little bit. It's similar to something in Pennsylvania called scrapple.
I've heard of scrapple.
In scrapple, they use, I believe it's cornmeal, because it's all just about stretching your meat. However, you can like make your meat last more for more meals. So instead of the scrapple, we use the oats, the Pinhead oats. And the Goetta is actually the German word for groats, which is what steel-cut oats are. They're just sliced up groats, the hull of the oat.
You learn something every day. I did not know this stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you, love.
Yeah.
All right, so then we're gonna let this go for about 90 minutes. And I don't know, maybe we'll go have a bourbon while we're waiting because, you know, we've got Kentucky here.
Yeah,
and
that's what we do.
That's what I'm gonna do now. And we will be back in about 90 minutes. Okay, so it's been 90 minutes. It's 11:30 at night. We're on our sleepover. And we're making Goetta.
Yay!
So we can have it for breakfast.
Exactly.
So we went ahead and took out the bay leaves like maybe right when the timer went off. And actually I tasted it. It's really good. It's like this savory oatmeal.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're gonna add the rest of the stuff. So let's take the lid off. Oh, I'm sorry. Stepped on your foot.
Right on.
You sure can.
Perfect.
And so you can see
yeah.
that is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So it's just this really thick and well, it looks really good.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're gonna add the rest of the stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and it's really important to use the steel-cut Pinhead oats as opposed to like rolling oats or anything like that.
Or the old-fashioned oats.
These ones, it just holds the mixture together. If you use something else, you get soggy Goetta and it doesn't fry up as nicely and firmly. So, of course, we're gonna use pork because as we learned earlier, Cincinnati was porkopolis. So for the recipe, typically you do like a 50-50 or a 60-40, usually erring on the side of like a little bit more pork. So we have pork and ground beef here, ground pork and ground beef.
1 pound each.
So we're gonna add those to our mixture.
What would you like first?
Let's do the pork. Let's start with pork. Because that was like the traditional way. And this is the classic way to make your meat stretch longer. So for all you college kids out there, if you want to like, you know, save money on how much meat you have.
It goes back to like the war rations.
Yeah, oh, absolutely, 100%.
And if you want to see war rations, I'll put a card up because I did one. A video. I did 1942.
Oh, nice.
Victory meat pack.
Yeah, and this was also like all around that time because Cincinnati's population hit the 60% German population. I think it was like right around, there was 1830, but of course like then when World War II happened, like there was a bunch of German street names in Cincinnati.
Right.
And over the
that
Rhine.
they got rid of.
Those all changed, of course, after World War II. Okay, cool. I think we are pretty well incorporated here with the meat. So let's add in the rest of these wonderful spices.
Do you want the onion first or the spices first?
Ooh, let's do the onion first.
So I have 1 large onion. It's just a standard yellow onion. chopped it all up. And in the onion goes. That's a lot of onion.
A lot of onion.
You know what? As long as you're stirring that,
It smells really good.
I have 5 cloves of chopped garlic. Because garlic.
Because garlic. Because why not? Because you're going to have your breakfast and then you're going to brush your teeth afterwards.
Right,
So it's going to
exactly.
be fine.
Who cares?
Who cares?
So, Rabbit is also a voiceover actress. She's really good. She comes up with voice, like, there's so many voices that come out of this girl that you would never know. She does, like, video games, and she does
Animation.
commercials. Yeah. So you've probably heard her.
Yes.
But
one of the versions.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put a link to one. Do you have a track that I can?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, we can link them to my website.
I'm going to put a link to her website in the description. So if you want to hear her many talents, you'll be able to. All right, we're going to start. Yep. Okay. So I'm sorry. I'm reading this time. Okay. So we have a teaspoon of ground ginger.
Lovely.
And we have a teaspoon of ground mace, which is a very rarely used
It is.
spice.
A lot of these are a lot of like old world German flavors because this was all stuff that was brought over from like early 1800s German immigrants that then settled in Cincinnati.
And there's really no, mace is not a cheap spice. It's not super expensive, but like, but you gotta use it because nothing really tastes like it, right? Okay, and then we have, where is it?
Ground black pepper.
Half teaspoon of, well, the recipe says a half teaspoon ground black pepper and half a teaspoon, it's late, ground white pepper, but I have a pepper blend.
Perfect.
So this is a teaspoon of all the above. Then we have quarter teaspoon ground cloves, and we have a half a teaspoon of ground coriander.
Beautiful.
A lot of spices in this.
Spices.
Okay, so, and that's it.
That's it.
That's it.
That's all we're putting in here.
That's the end of the line.
So my sweet sainted parents, every time they come visit me from Covington, Kentucky, they stop at Finky's and they pick up about 5 pounds of frozen Goetta and in a black, and they put it in a soft-sided cooler, and they put it in their carry-on luggage, and they smuggle me Goetta from Kentucky.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That looks perfect.
that looks beautiful.
Okay,
It smells amazing too.
so now what we're gonna do is, we return to a boil? This thing's gonna boil? All right. So we're,
Boil is a loose term, really. It might blurble.
all right. We're gonna wait. We'll be right back after this thing is blurbling. Right?
That's a technical term.
I love it. It's very technical. And then we'll finish it off, and then we'll finally go to bed. We'll be back. Okay, so we are blurbling. Right?
Yeah.
I don't know if we can hear it. I can get my mic close.
Yeah.
Hear that? Okay.
It's a blurble noise if I've ever heard one.
It is blurbling.
Yeah.
So now what we're gonna do, and by the way, Rabbit said this is the perfect consistency.
It is.
So this is kind of what you want. Just
Looking good.
really nice, and
Yeah.
it's almost like a wet meatloaf right now.
It is, yeah.
All right, so now we're gonna turn it to low. We're gonna cover it, and it's gonna cook for another hour. So yeah, our marathon night is still going. I don't know what time breakfast is gonna be.
Yeah, we'll see when we wake up.
Yeah, exactly. It's okay. He'll be there. We'll wait. Okay, so we're gonna set a timer for another hour, and we'll be back. Yay!
Yay!
Hey, okay, so it's been an hour. It's 12:30. We're having our sleepover. Well, we're about to. And okay, so check it out. This is exactly where we want it.
It smells amazing too.
It
I wish we had smell-o-vision.
I know,
so
right?
you guys could get down on these beautiful German spices.
It really smells good. Oh, and by the way, before I go any further, why do I keep calling her Rabbit? First of all, we all call her Rabbit. The whole group, we all call her Rabbit. This is why I call her Rabbit. See? That's why we all call her Rabbit. And if you're too young to know who that is, look up Jessica Rabbit. Okay, so now back to the Goetta. Okay, so really all we have to do left is we have 2 loaf pans. They're greased. We're gonna scooch the Goetta over.
That slided really nicely,
It
actually.
did. Nice little action, huh?
It is.
So now we're just gonna fill the loaf pans, and we're gonna let them. We're not gonna keep you waiting for this. We're gonna let them cool. We're gonna cover them with plastic wrap, and into the refrigerator they go overnight.
Yeah, because you can probably see right now a little bit, it's a little bit of like a soupy mixture, which doesn't make for really wonderful sausage patties.
Let's see that.
So you want to have like the time overnight to let it firm up a little bit. And also another great point about Goetta is it freezes extremely well. Remember how I said my parents bring me frozen Goetta in their suitcases? Well, that Goetta can stay in your freezer for 2 to 3 months, and I can actually cook it right from frozen, right in the pan, in a nice nonstick pan, and it'll cook up just fine.
And tomorrow morning, or like in a second for you, you'll see us
They don't
here.
have to wait.
I know, we have to wait, and you guys will be like that. And we're just gonna fry it up, have some coffee
In our PJs.
in our PJs, and pretty much, yeah, there.
Beautiful. This looks fantastic. Cool. I feel like we're gonna have like excess Goetta, which is never a problem.
I think we'll
Always a
find some
great
people
problem to
who want
have.
these.
Yeah. I think we've already probably got a few people lined up that are excited about the Goetta.
All right, well, while Rabbit is finishing that, I'm gonna go ahead and look, it's cool, put some plastic wrap on into the fridge, and
We'll see you in the morning.
we'll see you in the morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, so we slept,
Yes.
our Goetta slept,
Our Goetta slept.
and we decided to go with animal onesies.
Yes.
So in case you're like doing it, because they're comfy
Right.
and cute,
Yeah.
and of course,
And
you
just
gotta pick
because
your
you've
animal.
grown up doesn't mean you have to stop wearing onesies.
Exactly, this is how you stay young.
Yeah.
And obviously Rabbit
It's a rabbit.
is a rabbit. I'm a flying squirrel.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Because who doesn't want to be a mammal and have wings?
There you go. Okay, so does this look good to you?
Goetta looks beautiful.
My Goetta expert.
Yeah, this is really great. It's a nice consistency too. You can see how it's like really firmed up nicely.
And I've noticed it's not, I was expecting it to be more like a
Super solid.
meatloaf.
Right.
Solid, but it's not.
It's not.
And that's okay.
That's totally fine. That's totally fine. And sometimes I'll freeze it. It's definitely like a little bit easier to slice, and you'll see as we start to get this out of the pan that it can be like a little bit goopy. Don't stress, you can kind of reform it into sausage patties as you get it on the pan.
All right. Let's make
Now,
room.
the most important thing about the pan is you really, 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 really want it to be a non-stick pan. Even though this is a non-stick pan, I'm gonna give it a little spray of canola oil,
Can't
just
hurt.
because this is a new Goetta recipe for me, and sometimes it can stick a little bit to the pan. So we're just gonna give it a light dusting.
Well, that's very light.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So, perfect. So now we're going to extract some of our Goetta.
You know what?
Yeah.
We should probably move the thing back so
Yeah.
people can see your extraction.
Oh yeah,
Just
for sure.
Yeah, that's fine.
Totally.
There we go.
Perfect. All right, ready for extraction now.
Extraction.
So as you can see, it's going to be like a little bit goopy, but as I said, you can reform this on the pan.
I'll move the pan down as soon as she's done taking it out.
Yeah, perfect.
That's what you want.
Yeah, exactly. So you're kind of like, think of it, it's like sausage without the casing. And it's gonna get a nice brown crust on the bottom. And that will help, you know, make it into more of a patty. But yeah, you're just gonna be kind of like gooping it out. And then, so if you freeze it, is that time? Yeah, perfect. So if you freeze it, it will be a little bit easier to slice. But as you can see, like it's pretty easy to kind of form it into a patty again. And that'll be really nice. That's gonna fry up great.
I'm excited.
It is great.
I have
So
never had this.
if you want to cook it kind of over medium heat, because you kind of want to slowly form that crust on it. So because of that, it's going to take a few minutes. It'll take like about anywhere between 5 to 10 minutes for it to get that nice brown crust. So we'll give it a minute to kind of.
Yeah, we won't make you sit here for 10 minutes. So we'll keep talking because we haven't run out of anything to talk about yet.
Absolutely.
And
I don't think we ever will.
I don't think we ever will. And we'll be back in about 10 minutes.
Perfect.
Okay, so it's been 8 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little hot in here, so we take our little faces off. And here is what it looks like. And so,
And you'll start to be able to feel like it's like a nice little skin on the bottom, and that's really what you're wanting. And you kind of want to ease your spatula underneath it.
look at that, it's
Yeah.
perfect.
And here's the thing about Goetta. Sometimes it might fall apart, but it's like life. You can like recongeal it and put it back together. That's a pretty clean flip, actually.
That is-
I'm kind of proud of myself.
That is beautiful.
That's pretty good. So it's nice. So you got like that nice brown skin on the bottom. That's exactly what you want.
Hold on.
And
We
some-
need to turn the handle here. Now you can see the brown skin.
Yeah.
Look at that.
So it's really nice. You want to get that nice little crispiness on it. And sometimes I don't even let it cook to this dark. Sometimes like I'll let it, you know, cook to like a lighter brown, and I'll flip it a couple of times.
Yeah.
It's kind of whatever you want to
It's
do.
like
However
what-
you want to cook your
Like
Goetta.
what comes off the pan, right?
Right. It's
Because that one's not as
This
not as
one's
cooperative.
It's not as cooperative, and sometimes it's like that. But the nice thing about Goetta is, like, you know, it's got that oatmeal in there. You can kind of like reform them just like you formed the patties to begin with. Sometimes it'll fall apart like this, and that's totally fine. You're not always going to get a clean flip, but sometimes you just recongeal it, and it'll continue to cook, and it'll be fine. But you can see this is exactly why you're going to want a non-stick pan.
Yeah.
Because it can, it with that oatmeal, it gets real sticky. But
That
see,
would be a disaster.
you can just reform it. It doesn't have to be beautiful. It just has to be delicious.
There you go. There you go.
Perfect. All right, cool. So we're gonna let these guys rest a little bit more
Okay.
and brown up on the other side.
Okay, so we got another 8
Another
minutes
8
or so?
minutes, yeah.
Another 8 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's been another 8 minutes, and she has not touched them. You just really want them to just sit and let them do their thing. And now, here we go.
Perfect. So we'll start with our beautiful, our hero Goetta.
Hero Goetta.
Really nice. And see, that's like a little bit of a lighter brown.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It's really nice, which is still good. It's still good. You don't have to like cook it super brown. It's kind of like toast.
Okay.
Like, how do you like how toasted do you like your toast?
Okay.
As long as you get that nice crispy skin on it, because here's the thing, the meat is already cooked.
Yeah, it is cooked.
It is cooked. So it's really just kind of personal preference. That's kind of my ideal Goetta color. But I will never kick a really burnt piece of Goetta out of it, so I'll still eat it.
So is this done?
I think this one's pretty good. Yeah. So let's flop that over.
Okay, so I'm gonna get this out of the way. I'm gonna get the cooking spray out of the way.
We'll let this guy continue to cook.
I'm just gonna push.
She's our problem child. There's always a problem child every
Our
time
problem
we cook.
child will sit there. This is the Goetta.
I'm so excited.
Look at that. Oh my God, I'm totally excited. Okay, here, let's move this out of the way.
And Goetta, like every piece of Goetta is a little bit different. Like they always look a little bit different.
I'm actually kind of
They're
curious,
like unique snowflakes.
like how
Yeah.
close this is to what she
Yeah.
knows. Because I don't even know what it's supposed to taste
Right.
like. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Right? This is really
It's
good.
creamy yet crispy. It's everything a piece of Goetta should be. Yeah, it's really good.
So it's not a hard process, it's just a long
It's a
process.
process.
So pour yourself a drink, grab a friend,
Mm-hmm.
and make some Goetta.
Yeah.
Because I don't, unless you have it where you live, but we don't.
We don't.
So this is the end of my Almost Famous Friends series. I had so much fun. I hope you did, just getting a little peek into my life and my friends and my world. I want to thank Khan and Ariel and Panda and Rabbit. And by the way, they all know each other. We're all in the same group of friends. We've all known each other for years. So it's like one big happy family.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Especially when you work in the arts, it's so awesome to have like a community of people that are doing it alongside you.
I clearly don't, and I'm super lucky I fell
This is
into that.
artistic. Cooking is artsy.
Okay, I'll own it. So thank you, my love.
Oh, my pleasure.
So much.
This is awesome.
And thank you for joining me. I've got a couple recipes you can keep watching. And next week, I think we're going to explore something new. So you guys have a great day or night or whenever. And thank you so much. And remember, history has never tasted so good. Bye.